It is so much better coming in here after a winning weekend on Picks and Pizza. I'm your host, Joe Giglio, joined by the pizza czar of Raleigh, Anthony Guerra. Anthony, you went 3-0 on your NFL picks last week. Big bounce back from the 0-3 weekend.
Listen, we needed it. We took the loss hard the week before. We went into practice hard. We took it
some shuttle drills,
yes,
little cone shuttle,
yes,
little 15-yard shuttle.
We reevaluated our process. Every time we fail, we look at the failures and what that decision-making process looked like. We tried to fix that. Hopefully we continue the streak.
Nothing like a couple of jabronis on a gambling podcast celebrating their wins a week after going winless. So it is the great American way here on podcasts.
What have you done for me lately?
Exactly. It's all about this week. So I want to get into our picks this week. We will celebrate our picks from last week. But I thought it was interesting. You sent me a tweet on Sunday and you were like, hey, man, we need to bring this up on the show. So let's look at it. This is the odds for the first coach to be fired this season.
Now, as a caveat here, I do not celebrate anybody losing a job. However, these gentlemen will be paid no matter what. So it's all in good fun.
It's totally different for them than for, say, me getting fired on a random Wednesday. Yes.
Yeah.
That's different.
Riverboat Ron's okay.
All right, so here are the odds. Washington, Ron Rivera, minus 200, which if you are new to gambling means you have to put up $200 to get 100 back. Then we have the Bears, Matt Eberflus, plus 200. I don't see the Bears being impatient here. I don't know about you.
They're just a bad team. I think you accept being we're just a bad team.
Josh McDaniels from the Raiders is 3 at plus 500, meaning if you bet 100, you win 500. Chargers, Brandon Staley, who quite frankly probably should have been fired after the collapse against the Jaguars last year in the playoffs, 9-1. That's a franchise, though, that has traditionally been patient. The Vikings, interesting one here. Pretty good return. Kevin O'Connell, 16-1, plus 1,600. They won 11 games last year. Like, they're not. This is the Vikings we're talking about.
And they are blaming. This is getting painted on Kirk Cousins.
Oh, the whole thing.
Which, by the way, you see the NFL quarterback doc on Netflix?
I have not.
You've not seen it?
Not yet.
Oh, great doc. It changed the way I look at Kirk Cousins.
In a good or a bad way?
Great way.
Okay.
Amazing guy.
We have our guy, Robert Saleh. Get out of here, 33-1. Why would Woody Johnson get rid of him in a year where Aaron Rodgers gets hurt?
I mean,
and they're fighting.
The team did look like, to be honest, the winning cures everything.
Sure.
As I know personally after last week, it cures everything. But yeah, that team looked like it was going to revolt, and I don't know. I don't want to foreshadow my pick, but the revolt might come back out. The pitchforks and it might be coming out.
All right.
After.
So the Browns, we have Kevin Stefanski. The Browns are infamous for firing coaches. Still, seems like a little bit of a long shot there. 33-1. The Saints, Dennis Allen. Saints are a little bit of an enigma, but coming off of a rout of the Patriots. Then we get to the one. Honestly, this would be my pick. Now I wonder if, first of all, this is betonline.ag, so it's an offshore site. I bet you that wording gets a little bit hairy because it says first NFL coach to be fired. I could actually see Peyton walking away from this thing.
What week? Like
that's what I'm saying. Like you saw his reaction to Russ's fumble late in that game. They're absolutely tied to the dead weight that is Russell Wilson. So I don't see a way home for them other than him coaching him up somehow, which doesn't seem to be going great so far. So I could see Sean Payton quitting, and then I could see the book being like, well, he wasn't fired, he quit.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't understand how you get out of bed every day if you're Sean Payton. Like these NFL guys, like the real guy. Joe, I wake up every morning at 1 a.m. and I go to work at 1:30 a.m. and I'm in the office.
And then I go sleep on the couch. Yeah, come on. Get a life. Brian Daboll is not. I know the Giants are awful. They are, but he was the NFL Coach of the Year last year. The Giants have been in this terrible cycle of hiring and firing coaches. I think they just need to let him bite the bullet on this one and probably figure out how to get a early draft pick next year and replace Daniel Jones. I think that's the play for them. No,
they've become a dumpster fire. There's no doubt about it. Do you feel better about the Giants quarterback or the Jets quarterback? You feel better about Zach?
Well, Danny Jones
Daniel
and his
Jones.
back. I mean, Danny Dimes with the neck, as I can relate. I don't know. The Giants' offensive line is just trash. The Jets lost another offensive lineman this week. They're also trash. So who would be your pick? My pick is Peyton. We'll take semantics out of it. My pick is Peyton. Who do you have on this list?
I have Josh McDaniels. I mean, listen.
Little Mark Davis being impatient.
Yes, I could see the ghost of Al Davis being a little bit grumpy, and they like changing stuff up to change stuff up. And Josh McDaniels is just an annoying dude. Like, is he like your guy? You're in Vegas. Get a showman in there. You know how mad is Davis that Roger Goodell got Gruden fired?
Let's do Tom Brady, player, owner, coach.
Yeah, I would do it. I'd be like, here, Tom, you do whatever you want, baby. Go ahead and do it.
Player, owner, coach. All right, I'll jot those down. I'm going Peyton. You're going Josh McDaniels. Now on to our let's celebrate, because there is a time. Well, do you want to do Matt Canada or not?
I am so confused by Matt Canada, and I came here with questions. I think the listeners have questions too.
All right, let's see if I can get this to work, because I have not been successful with this.
Can I set the backstory for a second?
Yeah,
here?
Go ahead.
Did you watch the end of the game? Kenny Pickett audibles on the line. Maybe they're at the 20-yard line or so.
Yeah.
Throws an out route, touchdown, game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, it was a nice play.
If you're calling a play, your guy calls an audible, and it ends up with a touchdown to give your team the lead, to win the game, how do you react?
Oh, there's at least a fist pump.
I mean, listen, I like the Ken Dorsey reaction, by the way, from offensive coordinator reactions here. We're going to talk about the camera in the booth. You know the camera's in the booth.
Right, now you do.
Yeah. Ken Dorsey was like launching papers last year and throwing stuff around. Like, he was going bananas.
Yes.
I want something.
I know.
And that was in a negative way, Matt Canada stares at it as if he's trying to figure out if the painter matched the paint line correctly on the trim. He's just staring.
Did they use the paint tape correctly?
Yeah, did they use the blue tape right? Like, Matt, your team is winning the game.
All right, so obviously some backstory. Matt Canada was Dave Doran's first offensive coordinator, and I had a chart which became slightly famous in NC State circles, the J-Sam pitch count, because I did not understand why Jalen Samuels, didn't play more, and why he didn't get the ball more. And literally, I found out years later from one of the graduate assistants that his job after Canada was fired was to double check my work on the J-Sam pitch count.
Ooh, I knew you were a big Matt Canada guy.
He had to wake up the Sunday and make sure that my pitch count matched what they actually charted. And he was like, God. I hate you so much. You caused me so much extra work. And I'm like, it's not my fault. You had an offense coordinator who did not know how to use their best players. That has always been my complaint. Let's just have a little aside here. This week, NC State finally figured out, hey, Kevin Concepcion's our best player on offense. He's our best playmaker.
Absolutely.
He had 14 targets. 14. The next closest person had 4. That's how it's supposed to work when you have a fastball. That's how it's supposed to work. Like, you think Mike McDaniel's out there being like, well, I've got Tariq Hill, but it would be awesome if I could figure out a way to get the backup tight end a screen. And that is what Matt Canada does on a regular basis. Okay. So for me, my issue is not that I don't like Matt Canada, although he is a very peculiar individual. He has his own way. And we all have to run our own race, Anthony.
Yeah.
So I've never had any. He is his own person. That's fine. I was never like, fire Matt Canada. My thing was, when you have good players, please use them.
Sure.
And to me, he's never done that no matter what. And there's probably a Pitt fan out there going, well, James Conner had a really good year. Yeah, but they also that year threw 2 or 3 screens to the backup tackle. Okay. So it's like, okay.
Is he trying to fight the trend of speed? Is he like, you know what? Let me show you what slow people could do with the football?
Ed Orgeron fired him in the middle of the one season that they were together at LSU. And of course, the very next year, LSU turned around the greatest offense in the history of college football by basically saying, hey, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are really effing good. Let's give them the ball every other down. Oh, yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is good too, so we'll mix him in too some. This is not rocket surgery, Anthony.
No.
Okay?
No.
Kind of like you make pizza, I do podcasts. We know what we're good at, right?
Stay
like Matt Canada. Just find a George Pickens, for example. If you think he's really good, continue to feed him and give him the ball. Maybe Kenny Pickett's figured that. So people like to tweet at me now. They're like, "Hey man, look, you hate Matt. I don't hate Matt Canada. It's a phenomenon now that he has figured out how to fail upwards. He got fired after a bowl game at NC State where literally Jalen Samuels touched the ball 3 times and scored touchdowns on 2 of the touches. And then it was a rainy day and a muddy day. Everybody who played in the football game was rainy and muddy and wet, and their uniform looked like shit. Jalen Samuels looked like he just got out of the locker room. And I'm like, and I remember, like, this is why you get rid of this guy, because you can't figure out who your best players are. He goes from there. He does end up having great success at Pitt with the Pitt Panthers. Now Pat Narduzzi, the head coach at Pitt, hates him and badmouths him at every turn because he took the LSU job where he got fired almost immediately. Then he ends up somehow with the Steelers. I am telling you, he fails upwards every single time. And it is my contention that he will be the coach who replaces Bill Belichick. I'm telling you, his trajectory from NC State to LSU to the pros is now leading me to believe that he is going to be the successor to Bill Belichick.
Now, this will transition to the video. Have you ever heard a better chant at a hockey game?
At a hockey game?
A hockey game?
I was once in Pittsburgh for a hockey game during the NFL playoffs when the Steelers were running hot under Cowher, the year they won the Super Bowl. And they were chanting, because the Penguins were bad that year, they were chanting, "Let's go Steelers" at the hockey game. So I know your cross section, your Venn diagram of Penguins and Steelers fans is this. It's just one circle.
I tell you what, though, I give him a ton of credit. This is great stuff.
All right, so let's see if this will work.
Great stuff.
Hang on.
A+.
All right, that's not just any hockey game. That's opening night of the Penguins playing against Connor Bedard, the #1 pick in the draft. So it's like this game that people have actually been looking forward to. And they get distracted with a Fire Canada, your offensive coordinator chant in the middle of a hockey game.
It's great stuff.
You're chanting about the coordinator of a football team. I'm just going to
A+.
Stop
talking. That is A+ fandom. A+.
It is. All right. Well, you know what coach who has already been fired but has already left us with the greatest gift of all time?
I want winners.
That's right, Mike Singletary. We want winners. And what did we deliver last week on this program? Oh, yes, we did. We delivered winners here on Picks and Pizza. I went 2-1. In part because I decided to play a total, and I never play totals. But the Dolphins luckily covered. The Giants tried. The referees tried to backdoor that one. Dolphins cover. Russell Wilson under. We'll get to him again today. And then I took the under in the Jets Broncos. Way too many defensive scores in that one, so that's a loss. You had the Niners. They rolled that thing to the house. A-Chain, you texted me on his 76-yard touchdown run, which you said he's going to break one early and probably cover this in one run, which he did. And then you took the Jets, the motivated Jets, in the Nathaniel Hackett game. So
inspired
3-0. So now in the season, you're 7-7, which is a -70 in the juice. I am 6-8, which is -280 with the juice. So again, reminder, we are gambling for you get a choice of your bottle of bourbon, and I get a Giglio named item on the Oakwood Pizza Box menu. And I should point out that this week's I Want Winners is brought to you by Oakwood Pizza Box, Wednesday through Saturday. Go check out Anthony right there on Person Street across from the Krispy Kreme, oakwoodpizzabox.com. Order online. Go in, get yourself a nice Narragansett. Just chill out, drink a beer, wait for your pizza, get the square, the soon-to-be renamed Giglio. I can't wait.
The Julio special, maybe.
I've got ground to make up. I also forgot that the Jets have an injury. So while we're here in real time, I'm changing my pick.
Oh, wait a minute.
I forgot about the injury to Vera Tucker.
Tucker,
whatever.
You don't feel good about the offensive line?
No, you know what? That's bad karma. And plus, it is a big number at home. Although, what is really the road trip from Philly to the Meadowlands? It's fine. It's bad karma. I'm leaving it.
Listen, you get it the wrong time of day. It's going to be a long 2.5 hours.
I know. All right, so I want winners. So, Anthony, let's start with your lock of the week.
I'm going to stay with a lot of big lines.
Huge line, because
huge.
We're starting to see a lot of bad teams. Panthers, the Broncos, the Giants. Those are bad football teams.
Terrible
now.
Teams.
The Commanders are not good. The Bears are probably not great.
So my Miami Dolphins, staring at them, but 13.5 points is a heavy
against the Panthers. So I took the 11 last week, and like I mentioned, the officials tried to give the Giants that thing.
You tried to get it back.
It's a backdoor.
I am going to go to Mike Singletary's former team. I'm going to lock it in. 49ers going into Cleveland.
Okay.
Playing an injured or possible the possible injury to the quarterback Deshaun Watson. Maybe your guy Jacoby Brissett plays, maybe not. Don't know, don't care. The 49ers are the best team in football.
All right. And not only are they the best team in football, but they're also one that now leads the NFL in the most important category. That is their record against the spread. Look at that. We talked about this last week. Which teams are running hot? Let's find them. Let's ID them. And you've got Miami, who we've been riding all season, 4-1. Detroit, my man Dan Campbell and the Lions, also 4-1. And the Niners now 4-1 against the number. More interesting to me from my big pick of the week, my lock of the week, I am going back to a team from last year, my Cincinnati Bengals. You'll see last year the Bengals were 13-6 against the number.
Wow.
So far this season, they are only 1-3-1 because Joey Burrow has basically made them a public team. Well, the actual numbers suggest that they haven't been great this year. To which I would say to you, I think they may have found something last week in a gigantic breakout for Jamar Chase. Go, my fantasy team. Finally, thank you, please, and thank you. But here's the other one I want you to look at, because this is about the opponent. They play Seattle this week. And listen, I'll be the first one to tell you, Pete Carroll has done a much better job post Russell Wilson than I thought they were going to do. I thought Pete Carroll was done. Like, I thought the Seahawks were ready for a complete and total restart.
How about Geno Smith?
Geno Smith has been good. He was better last year than he is this year. And here's the thing about Seattle. They're 3-1 on the season, right? You're going, Joe, why would you take the Bengals? By the way, the Bengals are home 3 in this game. I just want you to look at the two teams that Seattle beat in the last 2 weeks. Yes, they did beat Detroit in week 2. Fair enough. But their last 2 wins are over a terrible effing Giants team and an even worse Panthers team. So give me the Bengals this week. I love the Bengals taking this thing home. -3. Not only do you want winners, you want locks. You know what that means.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Pretty much all of your props, your player props, have been stone cold locks this year. It's really impressive.
I appreciate that. No, listen, it's very hard to bet games against the line. Vegas is very good at the line. I like the player props because you got a chance.
All right.
Or at least I feel like I got a chance.
So we're going to go to the Thursday night game. This is the Chiefs and the Broncos. I am going to take Russell Wilson's passing yardage under, since it's the only thing that's been friendly to me in terms of a player prop. The number is up to 226.5 this week. And I just want to show you his game log. And I speaking of things I could probably be talked out of, I suspect the Broncos are going to be down in this game, probably most of the game, even though I don't see Travis Kelce playing in this game. So Russ last week won 96 under against a terrible Bears team in a game they won 223 under. In a shooting match with Miami, 306. In a shootout with Washington, 308. And then in a rock fight with Las Vegas, 177. Anthony, I could be talked in either way on this, but I'm just going to take the under, even though I suspect they'll be trailing this whole game.
Yeah, I could see that too. He stinks. This team stinks. Mr. Unlimited, I can't stand. I can't stand this guy. But I tell you what.
So you're going to also take Russell Wilson just in a different way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I scrolled over. You should be able to see the rushing totals. So his rushing total for this game is 20.5.
20.5.
So he's hit that twice this season, 49 against the Jets and 56 against Washington. And he's had 3 games where he hasn't. So you're going to go which way?
I'm going over on 20.5 yards rushing. I think he's going to have to throw the football a lot. Yes, I do think that everybody knows the Broncos are going to lose this game. I think he's going to scramble for 2 first downs and call it a day. He relies on that a lot. Against the Jets, he was just dropping back and running. I think that's going to be a habit you're going to see pop up in this game. He found success on that. It's the only way he moved the ball, really.
All right.
If you make him throw the ball, you're going to lose big.
All right. Our lock of the week is brought to you by Groove Wagon. Our guy, Riley Dunn. ThatDamnWagon.com. If you got any fantasy needs, start or sit, any kind of daily fantasy advice, text the king 919-306-8598 or go get his real stuff, thatdamnwagon.com. You got fence hopping and you got Magnifico, 2 low THC seltzers. Listen, on a Sunday, maybe you went a little too hard in the paint watching that Thursday night game. Maybe you got a little too riled up on a Friday night with the alcohol, with the beers. You know what you need? You need a Groove Wagon. Go check them out. It's thatdamnwagon.com. Or again, any kind of fantasy advice you're looking for, check Riley out. 919-306-8598. Text the king because, listen, my fantasy team is a mess despite a huge outing from Brock Purdy and George Kittle last week. I was very happy with that, but I suspect my team has already played its Super Bowl. And now, of course, the reason this whole entire podcast was started. Not the pizza question of the week. Oh, no. Jets! Yes, the Jets coming off of their Super Bowl, a win over the Broncos that their social media site was celebrating like literally it was Super Bowl 3, and Joe Willie was walking off the Orange Bowl Stadium.
Oh, we talking about the Kevin James meme? It was big time stuff, man. I tell you what, these marketing departments, media departments, whatever it is, I love it. If we could have like an 18-year-old kid just talking smack running it for the football team, I love it.
All right, so Jets are at home, 7-point home dog to the Eagles, who are unbeaten still on the season. Which way are you going, dog?
Give me the Eagles. I think Zach Wilson shows signs of life. I think the team shows some signs of life. We have realized that Breece Hall is great. We should give him the ball. I think Zach Wilson has learned that he needs to just throw the ball to the wide receivers, which is great. I just don't think he could see the field. I watched a lot of tape of that last game, unfortunately. I mean, the red zone performance was terrible. But a lot of that was based on Zach Wilson not hitting guys who were wide open. You can't do that against the Eagles and win. Eagles, again, they're on the road, and quote, the 2-hour drive is not going to affect the Eagles.
Yeah, I think I talked you into this one, and then I talked myself out of it.
I'm there.
Because it's a big number. 7's a lot, man. Come on.
No, I think this is easy. I feel pretty good about it. If I could weigh my 3 bets, this would be heavily weighted.
This would be the one?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, now I'm going to go the other way just because you saw that I had it the other way. I had the Jets, so I'm going to stay with the Jets. So we are opposite on a couple of picks this week. We'll see who ends up coming out on top because, again, we are betting for the ability to get my name added to this menu, a Chilio option on the Oakwood Pizza Box menu. So let's go to the Oakwood Pizza Box pizza question of the week. It is brought to you by Tyler on the Instagrams. Did I hear that Anthony is going on a quote unquote pizza tour? This A sounds wonderful, and B, how do I get Anthony's life?
Oh God. Yeah, no.
So you're going on a pizza tour?
This is a luxurious weekend for me. I will not be at Pizza Box this weekend. So,
but it'll be open.
It'll be open.
All right, I like it.
Lunch Friday closed though.
No lunch on Friday.
Lunch Friday closed.
Okay.
No lunch.
And Joe.
Yeah, and Joe. Yeah, I mean, Joe, you show up if you want. There won't be any pizza, but you can come.
I can't get Roger to open it up for me.
No. Okay. Ain't gonna happen.
All right.
All right. So we're doing it.
What is this pizza tour?
We're doing it for charity, actually. Somebody asked me about pizza in New York, and then I'm very specific, and I'm very much intrigued with history of pizza in New York. Mm-hmm. So we actually fixate on Brooklyn on this trip, especially. So we're gonna go to a couple classic spots, and then some of the new kids who came up who were most certainly influenced by the OGs. Which I find very interesting in pizza. A lot of us, like a lot of the new things you might see are really very old things or from a specific shop. So I'm trying to show that line between the new kids in Brooklyn and the old folks.
So are you leading this pizza tour for charity?
I am leading this pizza tour, yes.
Okay.
Me and a great friend of mine, Billy Durney, who runs Home Team Barbecue and Red Hook Tavern, which could be the best restaurant in New York, period, the end.
Whoa.
Yeah, easy. Fighting words. Send it. Red Hook Tavern is phenomenal.
Where is it?
It's in Red Hook,
okay,
in Brooklyn. It is great. High recommend. Get a reservation though. Small place. Phenomenal food. But this pizza tour specifically, we're gonna go down to DeFara's in Brooklyn to start off. And DeFara's started a lot of things. Dominic DeMarco there, the patriarch, who's long gone, unfortunately. He changed a lot in pizza. He certainly influenced me, and he influenced thousands of other people who are smart enough to just look.
Yeah.
And then just geographically, we go with L&B Spumoni Gardens, and then Luigi's in Park Slope, which is a great classic slice joint. And then
an authentic New York slice, if you will.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And easily one of the best signs on a pizza joint in the country. That thing is so good. Hey, he's a great guy. Gio is almost always there. Gio took over for his father, and his sister's actually there a lot, too. Last time I saw him, he's always there.
You going to stop by Jet Life Stadium while you're up there?
Maybe I should. I didn't think about it until this moment. I mean, we might.
I don't know if you're getting in though. Those Eagles fans are feeling pretty good about themselves.
Yeah, but the Jets fans are not feeling great. So maybe the secondary market there will be fair. No, I'm not sure if I'll be there, but we'll see.
All right. Well, let's see if we can continue our hot streak. Looking forward to another weekend of winners here on Picks and Pizza. When we come back right after this break, we're going to have Josh Goodson with our college picks of the week. I went 3-0 in college bets last week. So if you're tired of me, bragging about our NFL picks, you're probably going to want to skip this college segment. But Josh also went 2-1 last week. So we're both on the rebound. We'll see how we do with a big NC State Duke game. We'll have our lock of the week, and we'll also have a pick for Carolina and Miami right after this. All right, we've made our NFL picks, which means it's time to bring on Josh Goodson, RTP Mortgage, to make our college picks of the week. And Josh, Anthony, and I were just celebrating actually having a good week for a change last week. You don't believe in jinxes, so like you're totally okay with us like dumping the Gatorade and popping the champagne and being happy that we had a good week last week.
For sure. And what's even more I'm more annoyed about last week is I know I went 2-1 on this, but I actually hit a first round leader again as well.
Yes, you did in golf because you are the master of first round leaders. So let's actually take a look at how we did last week and how we're doing this season, because I feel like we've made a lot of progress, which is making me happy. So, and you know how that goes. I like to celebrate our wins, especially when we have bad weeks. And quite frankly, we were in a little bit of a rut, you know, and it happens. I mean, it happens to all of us, and especially is going to happen in gambling. So here we are.
Do you think it's our fault, or do you think this has just like been maybe a weird a weird year for college football because I go look at against the spread records. It's like what were we off? Where were we not off? Like
Sure.
Georgia, they finally covered last week, but they were 0-5 against the number up until last week. Like I don't think it's so much us being bad. It's just the other teams have not done their jobs. The teams have not done their jobs, in my opinion.
The thing I like is we're learning as we go along. That's the progress I'm taking. You're 8-11-1 on the year. That's minus 400. I'm 9-11. That's minus 300. You were 2-1 last week. I was 3-0. So let's start with a game we're going to disagree over, and that is NC State goes to Duke. These two teams this rivalry was killed by the expansion in 2004. They just don't play all that often. State's first trip to Durham since 2013, which was one of your favorite games of all time, if I'm remembering correctly.
Is Devon Edwards playing this week?
Devon Edwards, I do believe, will be in the building, but is not playing.
I think I heard you say this. I think it was on your Law of the Wolf or on OG podcast. Like they're honoring that Coastal team, and like I don't know if you asked that Coastal that team like what their best win was. I have no clue, right? I didn't follow that team enough. Like who was their best win? But I can imagine the year when they beat State at home. That I don't know if it was the most satisfying win or anything like that, but just the way that game happened was just pure silliness. State was bad that year. They were.
Let's bring it up because that's actually a really good tweet that you had. So let me find it. We'll pull it up. This was the year that Duke. This was Dave Doran's first season. This is the year that Duke won the Coastal Division. This was David Cutcliffe's best team. So this is gonna get your brains working this morning. Who won this football game and what was the final score? And then you look at the stats, and I mean, you're making a really good point here, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, State out-yarded them, and but it wasn't crazy. There was a bunch of turnovers. Both teams had 4 turnovers. No one did anything great. State was leading. I was at this game. They were leading 20-17.
Yeah,
and I can remember State was bad. They were going nowhere that year, but I was like, guys, we cannot lose to Duke. Like Duke should not be doing this. I was mad because I felt like Duke wasn't even that good that year. They had just kind of taken advantage of their opportunities, which I think as a State fan, that's probably the biggest thing that people are mad about with NC State for the most part under Dave Doran. Is like when you have an opportunity, taking advantage of it. And then
they had more passing yards, more rushing yards, more first downs.
I believe the sequence of events was Brandon Mitchell there was a kickoff return for touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Then Brandon Mitchell pick 6. Then I didn't even realize they brought in Pete Thomas the next series, I guess, to like try to do something, and he threw a pick 6 on the next play. It went from NC State leading by 3 to losing by 18. It was disgusting.
38-20. And what does that have to do with this year? Well, nothing. It's just the first time they've played since then. Do you think any of the common opponents matter in this game? Because they have 2 so far this year. Duke and NC State have both played UConn and Notre Dame. And
my answer is probably going to be like, well, of course you're a State fan. You don't think it I don't think it matters.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's just. I just want to give the scores.
They played UConn they played UConn in the opener, and every opening game of everybody can be weird. I guess I'll put it like that. Yeah.
All right. So Duke played UConn, beat them 41-7. State played UConn, beat them 24-14.
Yep.
Notre Dame played Duke, beat Duke 21-14. Notre Dame played State, beat State 45-24.
Yeah.
Does the transitive property apply? Probably
I don't think
not. You got different schemes, like you said, different times of the year. Is a team healthy? Where is the game being played? In the case of UConn, both teams went up to East Hartford, so that's at least applicable. And Notre Dame came to the Triangle twice, so maybe there's something to that. But the weather in the Notre Dame game, I only bring this up because it gives us like a point of reference.
Yeah.
And I know you're willing to dismiss some of it, but I'm not going to lie to you. The way that Duke handled UConn kind of signaled to me like, maybe something's wrong with
it signaled to you like as a negative to State because I just signaled it as like Duke's just good. That like if you ask my opinion, like I don't think it meant anything to like, oh my God, State didn't do that against them like they did. I just think it signaled like, no, maybe Duke is actually a lot better than I thought because you go up there and take care of business in a spot where you easily could have gone up there and sleptwalk and found yourself in a game. Like to me, I think that screams more about Duke just being good versus State being bad or whatever, theory you're going towards.
You know what I want, Josh?
What?
I want winners.
I want winners.
I love that Mike Singletary clip. So we got our winners, we've got our locks, and of course, those are brought to you by RTP Mortgage, Josh Goodson, rtpmortgage.com. I love this. This is your real phone number. Like this is the phone number that I have for you in my phone. Maybe you have a burner account. I'm not sure. 252-361-1415. Look, the market's not great right now, but you probably have a mortgage, number one, and you want to know what's a better way to go around maybe getting some money out of your house, right? You don't know what you don't know, though. So, but Josh does when it comes to your home loan. So check him out, rtpmortgage.com. Again, you can always call him, 252-361-1415. This is where you tell me that you like to keep your license. So we like to point out what your NMLS number is 1569995. Again, go check out Josh at rtpmortgage.com. And any good news in the home loan industry this week, Josh?
I had a closing today with your friend Whitaker and at Whitaker and Hamer.
Look at all of that cross pollination. You had a closing with Whitaker and Hamer today. I love it. Wonderful.
I still of the opinion that yes, the rates are still high, but home values in our area are not really going anywhere or getting any lower themselves, and so there is a little bit of a benefit of not having as much competition if you're looking to buy right now. I don't think that's an unfair thing to say. So you could probably get a better deal on the home than waiting if rates do drop. Because if rates drop, guess what's going to happen? Everyone's going to try to get back into the market.
I also like to tell people, like, your first step is realizing the mortgage that you can afford. So you got to reach out to you for that to figure out where your ballpark is. So again, that's rtpmortgage.com. All right, Josh, let's get into this pick for the State game. Duke is now a home favorite, home 3. Riley Leonard not expected to play. I do not expect to see him. I do believe Henry Beelan will be the quarterback for Duke. Does that change anything or your thought process for this game?
No, I would have taken State before, and I guess if Riley had played, I would have got a better number.
Yes.
He runs the ball well. I assume the backup is probably going to run a similar style offense. It's not going to be that much different. It feels like a Peyton. If State wins, it's a Peyton Wilson game, right? Okay. Can he spy him and keep him, the guy from making good plays with his legs and all that? Peyton Wilson, I think, is the best linebacker in the country. So if I think he's the best linebacker in the country, then I kind of have to ride with that. And I think momentum with college kids is a hell of a drug. And there's just something different about winning 48-41 from a momentum and confidence and good vibes than winning 17-10. If the results are the same, still a win, but I think just them seeing explosive plays happen on offense was just good for the entire team. And so I like that. I like to see that translate over. If you remember last year, I think it was Minjay's second game was the Wake Forest game last year.
Yeah.
So
I like the switch. I also like the idea that they realized Kevin Concepcion's their best playmaker. Yeah. He had 4, and a lot of it was in the jet sweep game, but he had 14 targets. The next closest person had 4.
Yeah,
like that's the kind of math I want to see out of my offensive coordinator. So that's a good thing, especially when Concepcion's making plays. However, I've called this shot since the summer. I actually thought Duke would get off to a slow start and then bother State fans that they lost to Duke. I'm picking Duke in this game. I'm laying the points. I don't think there'll be a great difference between the way that Beelan plays. Yeah, Riley Leonard, he's on some kind of run. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think you can just call okay, now let's do Riley Leonard scores from 47 yards on a broken play, which happens quite a bit with Duke. I just think Duke's defensive front is legitimate, and I think Mike Elko has that group. They're 4th in the country in scoring defense, and again, they have pretty much all of the same opponents that State does. So I like Duke's defense. I thought State's offensive line played better against Marshall, and I hope Dylan McMahon can stay healthy. I mean, I thought he made a huge difference up front for them, but I thought there were a lot of plays. The interceptions didn't bother me for MJ Morris, the way that the plays turned out. One of them was tipped, one of them went off of Concepcion's hand, and the other one, that screenplay, I just thought the kid from Marshall made a really, really nice play. Mm-hmm. That didn't bother me at all. What did bother me was in the red zone, he threw a couple more passes that should have been intercepted and weren't. And hopefully he can learn from those. I just like Duke's defense in this matchup. So
you just want to be right.
And I also would like to be right from the summer. Yes. So
you've been calling this like I don't know what Duke would Duke could have the flu and no one be able to play Saturday, and you're like, damn it, I'm still taking Duke. I cannot be wrong on this. I cannot backtrack on this.
Yeah, you know how stubborn I am. Meanwhile,
it should be a fun game, and it's kind of it's a wild it's a big game for both teams.
Meanwhile, what a gambling spot in Chapel Hill. You have everyone taking an absolute steaming dump on Miami for the way that they lost their football game. And then everyone is on Carolina's popsicle for the way that they took care of Syracuse. Carolina, this is a home 3.5. So the odds makers kind of sort of throwing their hands up with this one. Which way are you going with the heels?
You know who doesn't care that Mario Cristobal didn't take a knee?
Mac Brown and the Tar Heels, or Drake May?
Vegas.
I
mean, like a lot of that, if you're trying to educate people, a lot of people would look at just the outcome of last week and be like, why is this number not 10? UNC's beating everybody. Miami sucks. And it's like, well, no, if the guy takes a knee, they win the game. And like the number still would have been 3.
Right.
You know, so like I'm worried UNC's good. As a State fan, I am worried about that. Their defense is actually trying. Drake May finally looked like Drake May last week. UNC, I've been to enough games over there, State fan, but also when I was at UNC, they actually show out for these night games.
Yep.
Generally.
Miami in particular. Yeah.
Miami, and the Miami UNC thing is just a bizarre since they've been in the league. I remember a Halloween weekend, Devin Hester, top 5 UNC team went over there and lost, and or Miami team went over there and lost, and so happens a lot. I'm taking UNC.
Carolina's 6-3 at home against Miami since Miami joined the league. I'm going the other way. I'm going to take Miami. I like the way that Miami runs the football. I still think that's the way to beat Carolina is by running the football. I like the fact that everyone is down on Miami, so I'm going to go.
I hope you're right.
Now, if Carolina wins this game, Carolina has a legitimate chance at going 12-0 in the regular season.
Yeah. I personally hope you're right, but I don't know. UNC's just playing well right now, and I have to call it like I see it.
That's fine. We've been pretty good about the Heels this season, so at least we have that going for us. All right, it's time for our locks of the week.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Speaking of games we've actually been right about, our locks have been good this season. You got to celebrate your wins where you can. Last week we actually both had Alabama, which was notable that we both had the same game and it came home. So that is exciting for the two of us. But I think we're going in 2 different directions this week. So I'll start with your lock of the week.
Syracuse is finishing a stretch where they had to play Clemson, UNC, and now they're going to Tallahassee.
So the 3 best teams in the league.
3 best teams in the league. And they're looking like a team that's had to play 2 of the 3 best teams in the league back to back, right? You know, the Clemson game was kind of bizarre. Like they lost by 17, but there was some weird turnovers early, which kind of made that one get out of hand. They just got crushed last week. And I don't really see them getting off the mat, to be honest with you, this week down in Tallahassee. Florida State's just way better. Florida State's not going to have any issues with Garrett Schrader. Syracuse is also injured. I think this is a Florida State 3-touchdown win. I believe I can get 17.5. So I'm going to lay 17.5 with the Seminoles and just think that not Syracuse just quit. It's just you're going through a gauntlet, and I don't really see it getting any better this week.
All right. How's this for some logic?
Okay.
My game of the week, I think the one thing we've been struggling with is actually taking teams who score a bunch of points, right? Like we think Georgia's supposed to be good, even though they've struggled to kind of put some points on the board. I'm going to take Washington this week because I think Washington has the best offense in the country.
Yeah.
They just so happen to be playing Oregon. Are you ready for the top 3 teams in the country in scoring? USC, number 1. Oregon, number 2. Washington, number 3. What is going on in the Pac-12? Is just no one playing defense in the Pac-12? Or are they all playing Colorado and just blasting points on them?
It's definitely bizarre, but no, Washington has just been a wagon the entire year and like been dominating.
Yes, and this is a home 3.
Yeah.
This is a home 3 game. I think this is Penix's coming out party. I think Washington wins this game, launches themselves into the conversation for the college football playoff. It just feels like one of those moments. 3:30 spotlight game, national game for ABC. I could be wrong. Or Oregon is the one Pac-12 team that actually has a good offensive line and defensive line. It's pretty rare out there that you actually have a physical team. Oregon has traditionally been more of a Big Ten team than a Pac-12 team.
Right.
But I think it's Washington's time. It was a couple of weeks ago. One of the, maybe Dan Walken or someone else who follows college football was like, I think Washington's pulling a 2019 LSU on us and we're not paying attention. I'm not sure they got Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson running around back there. Yeah. But Penix is really good, and I think they're just pouring it out. So give me Washington for my lock of the week. You'll be in Durham on Saturday night?
I will be in Greenville tonight.
Now, double dipping, going to see my Pirates tonight.
Going to
a big number at home?
Kind of like the Pirates, a little sneak. I don't know. I think 12. I might take the Pirates tonight, but no, I will be in Durham Saturday night as well.
All right, I'll have you report back to me since you've already chastised me for not going to the Duke State game on Saturday night. You know I'm in bed by 8:30. You think I'm really going to go to Durham at 8 o'clock?
You're going to watch this game because you need to be right. I know you will.
I definitely will. It'll make for a good episode next week. And of course, check out Josh, rtpmortgage.com. Did you like my RTP Mortgage lock of the century last night? Second period Canes?
Yeah, Canes are good. Talk about a wagon. They're good.
Canes are really good. Like you said, the crowd last night was awesome. The State Citadel crowd will be just exactly the same for the men's basketball opener.
It'll be buzzing on November the 6th for sure.
All right, come back next week. We'll have more picks. Hopefully, have another good week on picks and pizza. Thanks, Josh.